Why is the I Ching not trending in 2023? I know that sounds like a goofy question to present, but here we are. You would think that the I Ching Book of Changes is pretty darn witchy. So if you like runes and tarot and bone casting, you would think that learning more about how to use a 3,000-year-old oracle with shamanistic origins would be of interest to you. If you read the text, it's very love and light, so you would think that the light workers would be all up in this. It's mystical, it's magical, but it's also philosophy. It's history of academia covering thousands of years. It's mythology. It's lots of drama. If you're into Jungian psychology at all, I mean in terms of I Ching discourse in Western and English-speaking spaces, reference to that is Carl Jung famously wrote the foreword to the most famous English translation, well, German and English translation, the Wilhelm. Carl Jung, he said how I Ching works is because of synchronicity and operations of the unconscious. Therefore, if you're interested in topics of pop psychology, you would think you'd be interested in I Ching. New Agers today love talking about Jungian psychology. Why don't they love talking about the I Ching? Those into Western occultism, especially if you vibe with Aleister Crowley, would be interested in what Aleister Crowley was into, right? And he was really, really into the I Ching. Liber 216. He translated the I Ching Book of Changes from Legg's English translation and turned the verses of the oracle into rhyming couplet poems. Well, couplets and quatrains. Something like that. I forgot. I should look it up. It's been a while. Sidebar. The Theosophy movement of the late 1800s was also really into the I Ching Book of Changes. You also had Eliphas Levi in Transcendental Magic talk quite a bit about the I Ching and drew equivalences between Taoist metaphysics and Western occultism. Clymer also wrote extensively about the parallels between Rosicrucianism, Solomonic magic, and the I Ching. In Crowley's 1929 text, Magic in Theory and Practice, he noted that divination systems are animated or operated by certain spirit intelligences. In line with animistic theories, he noted that the spirit intelligence that was behind geomancy were gnomes, and the intelligence or the spirit intelligence operating the tarot was Hermes, Mercury, and that these particular spirit intelligences operating these particular divination systems, in his words, couldn't always be trusted because they would be erratic and often had ulterior motives. However, Crowley found the I Ching as a divination system to be an exception. Quoting Crowley directly, the intense purity of the symbols in the I Ching prevent them from being usurped by intelligences with an axe of their own to grind. He's suggesting that gnomes and Hermes were far more temperamental and unreliable than whatever spirit intelligence operated behind the Book of Changes. So shouldn't all Thelemites be really into the I Ching? If you're into sigils and magical seals, I can't imagine you not being even a little bit fascinated by the use of hexagrams in Taoist ritual magic. So you would think, right, that today, you would see a lot of hashtags on the I Ching, but you don't. It seems social media has by and large ignored this ancient practice. The hashtag tarot on Instagram has 22.4 billion posts. The hashtag I Ching only has 157K. I often hear people say that the I Ching sounds really interesting and they think they want to learn more, but then they find that the material is too dense, they don't know where to start, it's difficult to understand. So it seems like people perceive a barrier of entry. And I've been thinking about that rationale and trying to process it and trying to find that line between perception and reality, because is learning the I Ching really that much more difficult than learning, say, the tarot? I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't think so. There is a lot of crossover between tarot and the I Ching, which is why you see so many tarot scholars and writers talk about the closeness between the two systems. Rachel Pollack called I Ching tarot's Chinese sister. Many, many incredible tarotists have talked about the correlations and correspondences between the tarot and the I Ching. And when people say, oh, well, the I Ching is more difficult because it's deeper, I don't know that it is. A lot like the tarot, the Book of Changes is what you make of it. It can, of course, be an incredible wealth of wisdom, insight, and depth. And so much of it makes you question exactly where that line is between science and intuition, science and magic. But at the same time, it can be lots of fun. It can be flirty. It can just be superficial keywords and general essences of each hexagram. You can talk about just the hexagram and the very general one sentence attribution for what that hexagram is, or you can talk about each and every one of the 6 lines of the hexagrams and all of the layers of correspondences. You can just say, oh, hexagram 6 is about trials, conflicts, and controversies. And that's it, end of the discussion. Or you can talk about the alchemy of heaven over water, how the flow of heaven is upward and the flow of water is downward. And this is the true essence of conflict and controversy. Conflict and controversy isn't two forces coming like this, but rather conflict and controversy are two forces going like this. I think my hand gestures were a bad analogy. Forces going like this, being pulled apart, going up. Forget it. And even this random hexagram example I had cited without thinking it through, even this, when you open up the book and read some of the verses associated with it, like the wisdom that it has to offer just on a very general level for life. We're talking about conflict and controversies here. The sage, the Zhuanzi, will strategize a plan of action before initiating action. The sage prevails in disputes by avoiding them. Hexagrams 31 and 32, arguably the narrative of 30, 31, and 32, represent love and romance. I totally forgot to mention this one until I flipped around the book. Hexagram 25, line 5, 勿药有喜. My translation of the 5th line, malady befalls the innocent one. No medicine is needed to cure. So the phrase 勿药有喜, the implication here is that it's someone who thinks they are ill, but they're not. Medicine, what they think is the medicine that they need, isn't actually what's going to cure them, isn't going to cure the problem. More esoteric, spiritual, or psychic factors in today's world, you might say psychological factors, may be at play. This particular 4-word phrase, 勿药有喜, use it, you can recite it as a way of curing maladies if you believe in magic and spellcrafting. And the affirmation can be used as a blessing to bless you with restoration of good health, because 有喜 means with happiness, with joy, and to be satisfied with the outcome, to be healed. Speaking of spellcrafting with the I Ching, hexagram 57 can be used in folk magical spells for prosperity. Hexagram 63 is a really good one to know and have in your pocket for exorcisms. Reciting the verses associated with hexagram 63 has long been used in exorcistic rituals. And if you're like one of those purist people who need to see the spell in an old text in order for it to be legit, I got you. That was in the Yi, circa 127 to 200 AD. Most of the grimoires on Solomonic magic that ceremonial magicians swear by aren't even that old. So if you like old magical stuff, I think you would really like the I Ching. Hexagram 7, the army, 容民畜眾. An army must care for the welfare of both the people and the animals. Line 3 of hexagram 49, revolution. To launch a successful revolution, there are 3 axioms you must abide by. First, study change before you speak words of change. Second, to study change means to know what will win the people's hearts. Third, winning the people's hearts is the only way to successful change. That's some pretty good advice for anyone who wants to start a revolution. Hexagram 52, mountain over mountain, listen to the wind, whereby the trigram mountain is all about stillness. The sage moves without moving. The sage advances and evolves by standing still. More intriguing yet, in subsequent dynasties, Taoist mystics interpreted that hexagram as a reference to astral projection and shamanic journeying. Hexagram 56, the wanderer. Line 6, the bird's nest is burning. At first, the wanderer laughs, but then weeps loudly, lamenting. That line is so poetic and heartbreaking. You know, Schadenfreude, the wanderer, you see another's misfortune, and at first it's funny because on some level our brain understands what just happened is really scary or could have scary implications. But out of self-defense, you laugh instead of cry. And then you think about it a little longer. That trigram mountain at the base of this hexagram, the trigrams fire over mountain, and the burning bird's nest reminds you of your own past losses and tragedies. And suddenly you can't hold it in any longer. You burst out crying, weeping over your own suffering and the very reason and cause for why you are now a wanderer. Fun fact, lines from Hexagram 56 can be recited as a curse against another. Hexagram 42, Burgeoning. When sages see the good of others, they are inspired to be better. And when they see the fault of others, they correct that fault in themselves. That is advice for how to increase and expand your good fortune, how to increase and expand opportunities. As you gain, ensure that others gain. What you receive, you must give. That is the only way to ensure further increase and ascent. Those weren't even the best of, they were just some of. So in a social media culture of memes that are quoting Sun Tzu and Rumi, I'm super curious why you don't see that many memes quoting the I Ching Book of Changes. I did start wondering, is it maybe because the I Ching isn't very lucrative? Like, how can you make money off of it? Maybe that's why it's not as popular and trending. There really isn't a lucrative business model or industry that can be built around the I Ching, or at least I haven't seen it. Well, there is human design, right? I think there's I Ching in the human design. My other hypothesis sounds like I'm joking, but I'm not. There are no Kardashians associated with the I Ching, and Gwyneth Paltrow and Goop haven't created I Ching merch yet. I remain hopeful. What's even more interesting to me is that even in Asia, a lot of the young spiritualists and mystics today are more interested in, say, the tarot and even the Kabbalah than they are in the I Ching. I Ching to the new generation, I think, I'm speculating, can feel too old and stuffy, maybe too academic. Going through the hashtag I Ching on Instagram, let's see what we find. A lot of Buddhist memes, that's interesting. Human design memes, I don't know what that is. That doesn't even have to do with the I Ching. More Buddhism. And to clarify, hashtag I Ching. Okay, now we have some I Ching readings, but it's not in English, so I won't be. What language is that? I think it's very cool that the I Ching is more popular in the Spanish language than it is in the English language. More human design. Some I Ching oracle cards. That's cool. Flowers. Lao Tzu quotes. I mean, yeah, that works. That makes sense. More Buddhism. As for integrating the I Ching into this new modern mystical system called human design by this white dude who gave himself an ethnic sounding pseudonym, I Ching hexagrams denoting various points of qi energy flow in the body, 12 lesser meridians and 8 greater meridians, 64 gateways, and a total of 384 energy points in your body corresponding to the 384 lines of the Book of Changes. 64 times 6 equals 384. That's old hat. Asian mystics have been doing that forever. But what the human design people are doing with I Ching, it's progressive, it's new, it's innovative. It diverges quite a bit from established tradition. Solomonic magic seals with hashtag I Ching. That's cool. I like that. I'm in. I don't know what that is. So more serious I Ching content seems to be more popular in Spanish than in English.
Tutorial del I Ching, tutorial del I Ching. Bueno, ¿qué es el I Ching? El I Ching es un texto muy antiguo de origen chino que contiene una serie de consejos para la vida. Esta versión que tengo aquí no es el original. El libro original es una traducción de Richard Wilhelm que voy a colocar.
Cohen finds nourishment both in the crowds and in solitude. He finds it too in an ancient Chinese book of oracles called the I Ching.
Leonard Cohen. They're referring to Leonard Cohen.
Right. The I Ching dates back to Confucius, but was discovered by the Western world barely 50 years ago. Although it bears a superficial resemblance to a Ouija board, the great psychiatrist Carl Jung extolled the I Ching as a valuable tool to self-examination and to achieving insight into one's true personality. Approach means supreme success.
I think they're using the Wilhelm translation. It looks like it's the Wilhelm.
如果想要改变命运呢，《易经》里边有4个字是你必须要看的。大家都听过啊，叫潜龙勿用。
那你会问了，为什么潜龙勿用跟命运有关系啊？
Okay, stuff in Chinese, that definitely makes sense.
I Ching, but I'm going to talk about it because I Ching is one of the most important books in Chinese culture. You probably ask, how many important books you guys have, right? We have a long history. This definitely is one of the most important ones. You probably recognize the symbol, the yin-yang. I Ching inspired 道德经. 道德经 actually has about 50 places that direct or indirect reference to I Ching.
I'm liking this guy. Who is he?
When Confucius met Lao Tzu for the only time, and their conversation is mainly about this book. And Confucius was like, why this book is so freaking hard? And Lao Tzu was like, it's supposed to be hard. If you understand it, you probably don't understand it.
Yo te hablé y te dije que yo quería aprender tarot y me dijiste no, ni en drogas. Luego me hablaste y me dijiste, ok, pero te enseño a leer el I Ching. O sea, se me hace muy lógico ahora que ya lo conozco porque...
The really funny part is this seems to check out with what a really good friend of mine once told me about I Ching, Buddhism, and Taoism being really popular in Mexico. This is so cool. How do I get my book translated into Spanish?
The three most intelligent books in the world are I Ching in China, the Vedas in India, and the Holy Bible in Europe.
That attribution to Europe instead of the Middle East is interesting, but I'm just no comment.
Relatively, I Ching is more mysterious. It discusses the operation, the rule of the whole world, not only the biggest, but also the smallest. It follows the rule of nature. I Ching is used to study the rules. There is an inherent connection and internal unity between man's small universe and the world's big universe, which will form a specific space-time field. It will be related to the human energy field.
Basically, as above, so below, as within, so without, hermetic philosophy found in the I Ching.
If the human energy field can conform to the space-time field of universe, it will show strong vitality. Therefore, if we know the laws of the space-time field of the universe and obey its operation, everything will be smooth.
What he's actually saying there, that's some profound, provocative insight and may challenge values of individualism. The path to liberation, he's saying, spiritual liberation, is by aligning the individual universe of you with the collective bigger universe of the cosmos. Every challenge and pain you encounter is due to misalignment between you and the cosmos. The I Ching is a book that diagnoses or helps to reveal where those misalignments are so you can correct and align. Who is this guy? He's cool.
¿Qué tiene que ver esto también con el libro de Fushi?
Bueno, el libro de Fushi como tal es el I Ching en la parte de los trigramas. Esta parte inicial que yo he comentado.
I am now super interested in this Asian and Latin American Spanish correlation or connection. One thing I did wonder about, and this is only based off of my personal anecdotal observations, is that it seems like, at least online, when we have conversations about the I Ching and Taoism, there tends to be more bros. I don't know how else to put it. You don't get that same bro energy when you see conversations online about the tarot or even other forms of divination or witchcraft. So I wonder if there's something about that bro energy. Please tell me in the comments if I'm wrong and you've had a different vibe intuited from the I Ching discourse online, or if you've seen that bro energy in the I Ching discourse online as well. I'm super curious. And there really is no wrong or right. I mean, it's more about anecdotal observations. Like, what have you observed, right? Although I think my anecdotal observations might be wrong now that I'm reflecting on it. So if you look at the hashtag I Ching on TikTok and just scroll through all of the top results that come up, in terms of the faces you see, feminine presenting and masculine presenting seems about equal, 50-50-ish. So where am I getting that like bro energy? I don't know where I got that. I typed in a keyword search I Ching explained in YouTube, And again, it proves my anecdotal speculation wrong. It's not more bro or more masculine presenting energy. In fact, most of these search results is my face. Yeah, it's balanced between masculine presenting and feminine presenting. It really is. I really don't know where I got my bro energy presumption from. Anyway, that was the question I've been pondering as of late. Why isn't the I Ching trending alongside the renaissance of tarot, astrology, Reiki, crystals, and yoga that we see going on right now in the mainstream? Would love to hear your thoughts.